Okay, it looks like we have sufficient people in the room today. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody for attending today. Thanks for taking some time out your evening to get some information on some of the information that is new in regards to the retirement process because of the separation incentive program. Today we have with us a variety of member engagement staff from LACERS. We also have Farrellyn Sneed with us, who will be giving the presentations. He's the Assistant Division Manager for Retirement Services Division. She oversees, one of her units is the counseling unit. And we have Bruce Bernal here with us. Also, he is from the Health and Wellness Division, and he'll be here to answer any questions with health. And again, we have various members from the member engagement team. My name is Tanita Larios. I'm the division manager for the member services division, and I help with the engagement and member services section for LACERS. So before we get started, we're going to have a little poll to ask you guys a question or several questions, if you can just answer so we know who is in the room, who we're talking to, so that we can emphasize the necessary pertinent material based on those in attendance. So I'm going to go ahead and start launch a poll, and if there's only 3 questions, so if you could just answer accordingly, that will be great. So you should see it now on the screen and answer it in the polls. So it looks like we have about 34 people who responded. I'm gonna guess that the other people, okay, here we go, 35. Thinking the last ones may be staff who haven't voted. But it looks like most of you guys are here working for the city. The reason why we asked that question, because we did send this out to people who have left the city but have a vested right to a retirement benefit. So we wanted to know if they were in the room and currently participating in the SIP. So we have about 11 people that are, and 18 people who are possibly considering participating in the SIP. So that's about 51%. So that gives us a good idea of who's in the room. So we know we're all active employees that are currently working for the city of LA. So no deferred or reciprocal type candidates that are not working. You may have reciprocity in working for the city, but you're working for the city. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Farrellyn Sneed. But before I do that, in regards to questions and answers, if you have a burning question during the presentation, please feel free to put it in the chat or the question and answer field, and someone will answer it. But we will have a lengthy question and answer session right after the presentation, which is only about 8 to 10 slides. So it shouldn't take that long, because during this presentation, we want to make sure that we have the ability to answer the questions that you all have. So with that, Farrellyn, you're on.
Thank you, Tanita. So let's close this out. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Separation Incentive Program, and then I'm going to discuss the one provision in particular with the incentive that you're all here to find out about, and that's the abeyance period, or what you can consider a suspension of the normal retirement application process. All right, here we go. Okay, we're difficulties. It's freezing.
Use the arrow buttons.
Yeah, they're not.
You want to stop share and reshare?
Yeah, let's try that. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's go over the ordinance itself. There's several key components to the ordinance. First, it provides authority for lacers to determine the SIP participants' retirement effective date. As you can imagine, with over 1,200 participants so far, giving everybody the choice of picking their retirement effective date would be quite a challenge for lacers. And so the ordinance gives lacers the authority to establish the retirement effective dates for all the participants. It also establishes a 3-month abeyance or suspension period. Now, what that means is that during that time, lacers will not be processing anything other than SIP retirement applications. And I'll go into more of that later. It also allows participants 7 days to rescind. So as you know, the new opt-in period for those that want a second chance at participating in the SIP, you have from September 8th to September 22nd. And you have 7 days from when you submit your application to the CAO to rescind it and say that you want to get out of the SIP. Also during the SIP program, during the abeyance period, which I just mentioned, during anyone participating in the SIP program, the 30 to 60 day filing period will not apply. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the abeyance period. So as I mentioned, it's a 3-month suspension of retirement processing for non-SIP retirement applications. Now it runs from November 1st to January 31st, and it covers normal, early, deferred, and reciprocal retirement applications. Okay? So that pretty much covers everybody who wants to retire if they're not participating in the SIP. Now, in terms of the abeyance period and filing for retirement, if you want to beat the abeyance period, you have to file your retirement application by October 1st, because we're still operating in that 30 to 60 day window. But 30 days, you know, you're outside of the 60 days right now. So 30 days is your last chance to apply. Now, if you're going to apply by October 1st, that means that you have to have all of your documents, your retirement documents, any forms, any required documents that lacers requires as part of your retirement application. Everything has to be at lacers by October 30th. Now, if you're unable to meet that deadline and you miss putting in necessary forms or required forms that we need to put you on payroll, basically, you're going to be out of luck. Incomplete applications, including those filed before October 1st, and will be held and processed after the abeyance period. So that means February 2021. Non-SIP applications submitted before October 30th with retirement effective dates that fall after November 1st and beyond will be held until the end of the abeyance period also. So if you're trying to meet that 60-day window and say you want to retire November 15th or thereabouts, it's not going to work out, because after November, starting November 1st, LACERS will solely be processing CSIP retirement applications. So applications will not be accepted also between November 1st and July 31st. So that means you can't even send in an application. So again, get your application if you want to retire and you're not planning to participate in the CSIP program. You need to get your application in by October 1st. And then you need to have all of your documents in by October 31st. If we don't have your documents by October 31st, your retirement application will be held until after the abeyance period, which ends January 31st, 2021. So your application will be processed sometime after February 2021. If you submit, even if you've already submitted a retirement application and your retirement date falls before November 1st, if you haven't provided all the information that we need by November 1st, your application is going to be held. You will be retired, but you will not be able to go on LACERS payroll until after the abeyance period and we get all of the required documents. So that's something that you really must consider. All right. And again, non-CSIP retirement applications will not be accepted at all during the abeyance period, which runs November 1st to January 31st, 2021. Now there is an exception during the abeyance period, and that is disability retirement applications. They are not subject to the abeyance period and can be submitted for retirement processing. Okay. You may be asking, okay, if my application is held, or what happens after the abeyance period, I decide that I want to retire, after January 31st. Well, following the end of the abeyance period, LACERS will return to the managed service retirement application that it is currently under. Applications of abeyance and all new retirement applications received after January 31st will be processed under that the managed retirement service retirement process, which means LACERS will be picking your retirement effective date. As you can imagine, we will not be done with the CSIP processing. So we're going to have to do both CSIP retirements and regular retirements at the same time. And so to afford LACERS the flexibility and the ability to process everything that they need to process, LACERS will be picking the retirement effective dates. Okay. Basically, we'll be picking the retirement effective dates for everybody. So that ends the presentation. Tanita was right. It's only a few slides, but it's a lot of information. And so if you have any questions, we're here to help.
So we do have a couple of questions that came in on the chat, and we have a couple of questions on the Q&A. So the questions that I see, so anyone who has a question, just post them up in chat or the Q&A and we'll go ahead and answer them. So it said from Ali Utsti, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. What about departments that were not offered CSIP but employees planning to retire January 2020?
You mean January 21?
Oh yeah, January. It must be January 2021. They put 2020. I just read what they had. Good catch.
The abeyance runs through January 31st, 2021. So no applications will be received, regardless of whether it's a department that was ineligible for the separation incentive program. It doesn't matter. Any type of retirement application other than disability will not be processed or accepted by LACERS.
So your last opportunity, like Farrellyn said, is October the 1st. If you want to retire, but you'd have to retire before October 31st. So if that does not line up with your timeline, then your first opportunity to submit an application will be February 1st, 2021 for a retirement effective date in March.
It will,
thereafter.
remember, it will be sometime, yeah. Remember, LACERS will still be under the managed service retirement process. And again, we will be processing both CSIP participants and non-CSIP participants. So LACERS will be choosing the retirement effective dates.
For CSIP and non-CSIP.
For both CSIP and non-CSIP. So if you have a particular need to retire by a particular point in time, you may, you can submit your application and you can let LACERS know what the circumstances are. But again, because we will still be processing CSIP participant applications, which is a large volume, we have to choose everyone's retirement effective date.
Then the second question from Edward Johnson says, what about reciprocal retirees?
Now, that's a very good question. Now, Nathan attended several CSIP pre-meetings, and we also put up on our, and the understanding that he had from people with reciprocal is that your reciprocal agency is asking you for at least 60 days. Well, your 60 days has to fall within the time frame that LACERS can process. We're also identifying, we know who has reciprocity registered with LACERS. So even a CSIP participant, we will be determining what their retirement effective date is based on their reciprocity, and we're going to build in that 60-day window for them. Now, if you're not participating in the CSIP, again, it'll follow the normal process that we use when we're dealing with the reciprocal agency. However, again, LACERS will be determining your retirement effective date. So when you're communicating with the reciprocal agency, you might want to let them know that LACERS will be telling you what that date is. Give them a heads up that you're letting them know that you're planning to retire. You've submitted your application to LACERS, but at this point, you don't know exactly what your retirement effective date is going to be.
So remember, that's outside of the abeyance period. And so if you're a reciprocal person or member, you have to take into account that we don't have 60 days between now and when the abeyance period begin. So that may, I don't want to say impossibility, but it would be a stretch in regards to trying to get all the agencies on board for a date for October 31st, you know, a retirement effective date prior to October 31st. If you are in that situation, you can, of course, always reach out to us and we can advise you with the details of your specific case. But as Farrellyn stated, you know, 60 days is what the base minimum is. That is what we are seeing when we're dealing with other agencies. All right, the next question is, if I apply before 10/31 and all documents are ready, when am I going to be on payroll?
If you retire by October 1st and you have all of your documents in by October 30th, you will be on November payroll.
Okay, and that was for Darius. Next question is, can I put in my application now to retire for February 2020 2021, knowing it will be held until February the 1st?
No, because you exceed 60 days.
So the filing period for a retirement application would be 30 to 60 days, a non-CSIP application. So you would be outside the filing window. So you would have to resubmit in February. And because February only has 28 days, your first available retirement date would be in March.
But again, LACERS will be determining retirement effective dates. So it may not be March.
Right. I'm just saying in regards to the 30-60 window. Yeah. Okay, so next question. Would a severe medical condition, for example, a cancer diagnosis, qualify under the disability exemption after November 1st?
Okay, there's two different things. The disability exemption is to apply for a disability retirement, not a regular retirement, a disability retirement. And disability retirement processing can take anywhere from 9 to 12 months. So if you have a medical condition, if you have some sort of medical condition that you think is going to cause you to necessitate the need for you to retire, you need to contact LACERS now so that we can talk about your situation and see what we can do.
Okay. How many months? Sorry, I was trying to get a link. How many months do you think it will take to finish all CSIP retirement? When will you inform employees of the CSIP retirement date?
Good question. At this point, we don't know how many months it's going to take because we don't have the final CSIP number. As I mentioned in the opening, the CSIP ordinance created a new opt-in period, which doesn't end until September 22nd. So we don't know how many additional people are going to apply and want to participate in the CSIP. We won't have the final number for all CSIP participants until around, since the rescission period runs until September 29th. We will not receive the final list with everybody that's participating in the CSIP until October 1st or October 2nd. After that, we will be notifying it'll take us some time to look at to coordinate the list and to set up all the emails to give everybody notification that we have received their name from the CAO, and they will receive a notification from that. Now, when you're going to be scheduled for retirement as a CSIP participant, you will be notified 4 to 6 weeks before your retirement effective date.
Okay, and just for a reference, I put in the chat the link to our disability retirement page on our website. So if you wanted to see additional information there, you can just click through that link and pull up additional information. All right, next question. Based upon the mayor's directive last week, is there a chance that individuals that are in the excluded departments might be allowed to participate in the CSIP?
LACERS has not received any communication regarding that. The ordinance, the CSIP ordinance, does not speak to that.
All right, so I'm gonna go over to the Q&A. We answered a couple of these questions. So might the separation dates for CSIP go into the next year?
Definitely they are.
If I am planning to retire, oh, Yara, you answered that one. Will we still get cost of living increases if we retire under CSIP?
Yeah, the CSIP is just an incentive to help the city out with its current fiscal situation. The same protocols that govern retirement with LACERS are still going to remain in place. So yes, cost of living and all of that will still apply.
Okay. What does the abeyance mean? You want to just go over that one more time?
Okay, the abeyance or the suspension, a suspension period, runs from November 1st to January 31st. During that time, LACERS will be solely focused on processing CSIP participant retirement applications. The ordinance states that LACERS cannot accept or work on anything that is not a CSIP retirement application. So anyone wanting to retire outside of participating in the CSIP will not be able to submit an application or apply for retirement or have LACERS process their application between November 1st and January 31st. The next window after the abeyance goes into effect will be February 2021, and that will be the time that people can apply for retirement. But again, LACERS will be continuing its managed retirement process because of the volume of applications it's going to have to process. So you can submit your application, but LACERS will determine your retirement effective date.
Okay, I have a health question here, Bruce. When you retire under CSIP, any dependents under 26, are they covered?
Any dependent under 26 is not automatically covered. They are, however, eligible to be enrolled in your medical and dental plans. You would need to complete new enrollment forms for yourself and any dependents. Again, anyone under 26 is eligible to be enrolled.
Then it says, can Public Works Sanitation, IWMD, I'm guessing that's a division or a unit, employees that were excluded from participating in CSIP participate now?
Again, the ordinance did not change the parameters of who can participate and who cannot participate. There was no exceptions placed in the ordinance to say that now everybody can apply. The same restrictions that applied when the CSIP was first offered remain in effect.
Okay, have another one. Once I am given the retirement date under CSIP, but I have vacation still on the books, I was told that those weeks of vacation time will add to my service credit. Is that in fact true?
Well, when you retire, you get a sick and vacation payout from your department. So you're going to be paid for that time. LACERS has nothing to do with that time, but you will be paid by your department for that. Any unused sick and vacation, well, 800 or 50% time.
So they're basically saying about the service credit, so it will not add to your service credit because you're getting paid out for it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I submit all paperwork? We answered this one, but I'll just read it again. Can I submit all paperwork by October 30th, but want my retire date for February 1st? Is that feasible? And then the answer was no, because it's outside of the filing period. I'm toggling between two screens. So under the CSIP program, do all the documents need to be in by October 30th?
No. CSIP participants, there's going to be several months that we're going to be processing CSIP participants. Only the people that have to worry about the October 1st and the October 30th deadline are people who are not participating in the CSIP incentive program and who want to retire before the abeyance period goes into effect.
I am told I can enroll my vacation payout into deferred comp upon retirement, but what if I have already maxed out the deferred comp allowance for this year?
you need to talk to deferred comp about that.
Is there a chance that all SIP retirements are completed early and regular retirement process can be opened, i.e. abeyance ended?
Repeat that.
So basically, is there a chance that all the SIP retirements will be completed before the abeyance period is over, and then you would be able to open back up early?
That would be a no.
Yeah, that would be stretching it a little bit. That would be 1,300 applicants in 3 months when we typically do 1,300 retirees in a year. That's why we're getting a little check on that one. Is done. I understand that Laces will need time to process the retirement application, so you decide the retirement date, but who determines what retirement application gets processed first?
Well, the ones that are already in the queue at the time that the abeyance goes into effect, of course, would be processed first. But the caveat being, the reason that those applications were being held is because for non-compliance, for not submitting the documents that are required and the things that Lacers needs to place the member on Lacers payroll. If, continued non-compliance, of course, we're going to start working on those applications where people are being responsive in the order that we receive them.
I understand that Lacers will choose the non-SIP retirement dates. For how long can you keep us from retiring?
For how long?
Yeah.
Again,
well, in regards to how, when they submit, from what period of time do they have until they're actually retired? So if they submit, how long will that process be in between?
Again, it depends on the volume of applications that we have. What our plan is to do is that if, depending on how voluminous the number of applications is that we have, we're going to send out a letter to try and give people an indication of when their retirement effective date should come up on the radar. We'll give you a ballpark for non-SIP.
Yeah. Can I confirm that I am a SIP participant?
You can confirm that with the CAO.
And we have contact information for them. If you go to our website under members, you can see a city separation incentive program link there. If one of the ME people can post that in the chat, that would be great. So they can just link straight to it. If I submit my application October 1st, do I go off city payroll on the same day?
No. You're just putting in your application. You have to complete your application and the retirement process. Remember, that's 30 days. And so your retirement effective date would be October 31st. And your department would be notified after that point. So you would be you continue to be paid on the regular city payroll up until that point. And then, you'll get your last paycheck, 2 weeks after that. And then you'd get on Lacers payroll, provided you have all of your documents in.
Okay. In general, is there a formula for who gets the sooner retirement dates? We have heard, for example, that the highest paid are going first, or we have also heard that the least complicated applications will go first. I'm assuming that's for SIP.
For the SIP, we follow what the priority has been set by the city administrative officer. They determine the parameters. At this point, yes, it's the highest paid. Go first.
Okay, so there was another question in regards to first submit, first retire, but you just alluded to that. So it's based on CAO's prioritization. What will be the deduction from my payroll? Not necessarily sure what exactly you're referring to. If you can give some more specificity on that question, I'll come back to it when you do. Is there any particular order that will determine where in line a SIP application will be? So there's a lot of questions. Any certain qualification or consideration determine who is processed first. So again, it's based on the CAO's prioritization currently, as Farrelyn just stated. It's based on high wage earners. You stated definitely the retirement dates given under SIP will go into 2021. Any chance they will go past February?
Yes. It's a large number that we're going to have to process. And we don't even know, like I said, we won't know until October 1st or 2nd what the impact, how many actual SIP participants there are.
Okay. Are separation dates determined by LACERS? If yes, can that be any day of the month?
No. Your separation, well, the retirement effective dates we've determined will be the first pay period of every month. First pay period ending.
Yeah.
Of
So
the month.
ending. So you won't be shorted a check. You'll get a last full check.
Yes.
For non-SIP, when will you retire if retirement application is submitted on October 30th?
If you have all of your documentation and everything in, your retirement effective date will be October 31st. Because you apply first, you have to have the 30 days. So that means your retirement effective date will be October 31st.
But you have to have applied on October the 1st, not the 30th.
Correct. You have to apply by October 1st.
So, because you would be outside the filing period if you applied on October 30th, hence your application would be held until the abeyance period would be over. So you wouldn't be able to retire within the abeyance period time or before. If I die during the abeyance period, will my spouse receive 100% retirement? And how long will that take?
Survivor benefits are not going to be impacted by the abeyance period. So yes, if your spouse, depending on the number of years that you have, can receive a benefit. So, and you can look at the LACERS website for the different survivor benefits.
Yes, one of the ME staff will post up the survivor benefits link in the chat so you can go directly to it. Can we get a copy of the CAO's prioritization?
Now, the prioritization came in the form of the list, and no, the roster is not open for everyone to see.
Okay. What deduction? Okay. What deduction from my retirement check other than taxes?
The deductions from your retirement check can be, if you don't have enough, Bruce can speak to the fact that you may have to pay for a portion of your health.
Correct, right. And without knowing details, it's impossible to say, but it would depend on how many years of service the retiree has, what plan, both medical and or dental, that they choose, and how many people they choose to enroll. There's no such thing as guaranteed free health coverage for life. It all depends on those factors. So we need to know those details. Again, how many years of service you have, what plan or plans you're choosing, and how many people you're planning to enroll.
Thanks, Bruce. Okay, we have a couple of more questions in the Q&A, then I'm gonna jump back over to the chat. Can you repeat the dates you mentioned? So the groups of retirement dates will be on the 1st of each given month?
No. The retirement effective dates will be the end of the first pay period of every month.
What if you would like to retire in June of 2021, not under the SIP? Would that be possible?
More than likely it will be possible, but again, everything that I'm saying, you know, there's a caveat to it because we don't know what the ultimate SIP number is going to be. So without knowing that, we won't know until October 1st or 2nd. We won't know the exact number that we're going to have to process.
Can I still apply for SIP even though I withdrew on 9/8/20?
You would have to contact the CAO on that.
Is the medical subsidy paid directly to the retirees or to the plans they choose? Bruce?
I wish it were paid to the retirees directly, but it is not. We pay the carriers, meaning Kaiser or Anthem, we pay them directly based on what plan you enroll in. So the retirees do not see that money other than on their stub.
Why isn't the abeyance a meet and confer issue with the unions?
It is my understanding the unions were advised about this.
Okay, if I send an application and all documents next week and retirement date of October 31st, when will I go on Lacer's payroll?
You'll be set up for November payroll.
Will you be implementing an electronic retirement application process?
Yeah, look at Tanita smiling at that.
Yes!
We are implementing an electronic retirement application process. We're in the testing phases right now.
Just to add to that regarding health benefits, some of the forms, depending on your situation, for example, those regarding Medicare plans, we are not doing electronic forms, at least not yet. So we would need wet signatures, as it were, original signatures on those at this point.
Why are some applicants under the SIP able to get a special dispensation by the CAO?
I'm not aware of any special dispensation. You would have to discuss that with the CAO.
Okay, here's another one for you, Bruce. Can I enroll myself and my spouse in the medical plan later, i.e. not right after retirement?
It's kind of complicated. The short answer is yes, but it's not advisable. The great majority of retirees apply for their medical and dental coverage prior to retirement. The reason is they will not have a lapse in coverage. So for example, if you retire in February, your retiree health benefits would go into effect in March, the beginning of March. If you wait later and let's say you don't apply and then you break your arm on March 7th, you're going to go to the doctor and they're going to say, well, you're not covered. Okay. You can, though, there are rules that you can retire, or excuse me, you can apply for medical or dental coverage within 60 days of your retirement effective date. So you can wait almost 2 months after your retirement date to apply. But again, if you have an accident in the meantime, you're not going to be covered. So, and if you miss that 60-day window, you'll have to wait till the next open enrollment period, which could be almost a year later. So we highly recommend people apply for medical and dental coverage prior to their retirement effective date.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump back over to the chat, and if I don't call out your question, it's because we probably had something very similar to it. So I didn't ignore it. I'm just gonna try to get through the rest of it because we only have about 13 minutes left. Someone says, please speak briefly about SIP eligible and SIP non-eligible employees.
Okay, the CAO determined different departments that were not eligible for the SIP. The one that comes to mind quickly is sanitation. So sanitation, Lacers, LAFPP, we were all exempt from the SIP. Airports, because the airports already had their own SIP program, so they were also exempt.
Okay, has Lacers finished?
The CAO has the roster of departments that are exempt from the SIP. If you go to their website, you should be able to see that.
Has Lacers finished processing the LAWA applicants who were approved to retire via their SIP?
We are on the final stretch of the LAWA SIP. Theirs will technically go through February also, but 99% will be complete as of October.
Okay. So for SIP, when will people receive their retirement date?
You'll be notified 4 to 6 weeks before your retirement effective date.
Will the SIP applicants need to fill out enrollment for 2021? I'm guessing this is the health enrollment?
Well, yes, you'll need to separately enroll in your medical or dental plans aside from the retirement forms that you fill out. The enrolling in the medical plans is a different process. So once you get your retirement date, then we will also establish deadlines for when you need to submit your medical and dental enrollment forms.
How long do they have to submit their paperwork? This is not in the same question, Bruce, so I think this is just retirement related. How long do they have to submit all their paperwork? Does the actual retirement date in regards to pay enacted when the paperwork is completed and approved? Carolyn?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
So how long do they have to submit their paperwork? I'm guessing this is in retirement. Does the actual retirement date in regards to pay, I guess it says enacted when the paperwork is completed and approved. I guess it means be determined.
So are we talking about SIP or are we talking about regular?
It doesn't say, so I'm gonna go with regular.
Okay, as long as all of your paperwork is in, your counselor will tell you what your due date is for that so that it'll help you get on payroll. But obviously, if say you apply in October, by October 1st, in order for you to get on November payroll, you need to have everything in by October 30th. Same logic will apply if you apply in March. And if you want to get on to be eligible for April payroll, you'll need to have, and this is just an example because we're still going to be under the managed retirement process. But normally if you apply, say you apply March 1st for a retirement effective date of March 31st, then, you know, we need to have everything in by March 30th so that you could get on payroll for April.
So one of the things that you should be clear about is that even if you put your retirement effective date in and say, for instance, you don't supply one of the required documents and your retirement effective date passes, you're still retired. You're just not going to be on payroll. So, you know, make sure when you put in those retirement dates that you're, you know, duly aware of that, because we would hate for you to think like, oh, I'm going to delay it because I didn't submit a document. No, your retirement date is your retirement effective date unless you communicate otherwise in writing by the prescribed. So you should just check in with your counselor and make sure that you have everything lined up so there's no surprises.
And speaking of surprises, I encourage everyone to look on the Lacers website for the Planning for Retirement seminar, not the seminars, but the videos that are available there so that you have an idea of what the required documents are, an idea of what you should be thinking about and considering before you retire. And you can use the calculator on the Lacers website to see what your monthly benefit will be. But for those that are considering participating in the SIP, when Tanita was talking about, being able to change your date or whatever, that's the regular process. And that's a process when we're not under the managed retirement. But remember, if you participate in the SIP and your 7-day rescission period passes, you are locked in. No exception.
Yes.
No exception. You have 7 days to decide. That's why we encourage you to look at the videos and information on the LACER's website and to do the calculator so that you can see what your benefit will look like so that you can make an informed decision.
Yeah, so there's
But
a couple
again,
of things. Oh, go ahead, Farrah.
But if you're considering participating in the SIP, please make sure that you read the document because as the ordinance stipulates, if you do not rescind within the 7-day rescission period, you are locked in. You will be retired and LACERS, you will retire and LACERS will give you a retirement effective date.
So just a couple of things because we're coming up on time. We do have a link to the YouTube channel in here. So you can go ahead and click through that and save that. A couple of questions in regards to how will SIP retirement counseling be handled. Zoom meetings, yes, that is part of the process, Zoom meetings. Yes. And you will have a counselor assigned, correct, Farrelyn?
Correct. The way it's going to happen is that you will get a link to a video on how to complete your retirement documents. And then you will also receive a second link to a Zoom meeting where we'll have a Q&A about your if you have any questions about your retirement documents, if there was something that you were unclear about and you needed to, you want to ask a question about it, then that'll be your opportunity to speak with LACER staff about specifics of a particular form or what have you.
Okay.
Important to note regarding that, sorry, just to add to that, we have separate webinars and Q&A sessions for health enrollment. Again, it's a separate process and we don't want to overload you with too much information at one time. So we hold those on separate days regarding your health benefits in retirement.
So you should be looking out for two. One
Correct.
from retirement and one from health. In regards to the question for electronic application by October 1st, no, unfortunately, it will not be available for October 1st. Yes, LACERS will has stepped up and increased workflows to process the SIP. I'm just going to try to answer what I can and I'll push over anything else to you guys. How long do you think it will take LACERS to process the 1,200? We, well into next year, as Farrelyn has stated. If I retire, say mid-February, when would I get my first check? March 1st or April 1st? Well, you can't retire in mid-February because the abeyance period ends in January and the filing period at least 30 days. So it's March and thereafter. Typically, you would be put on payroll based on the month after your application is received. However, I mean your retirement effective date, sorry, not your application. And so it's just depending because of course, as Farrelyn has stated, there's many factors that go into determining your retirement effective date. What is the earliest effective date on which you anticipate an applicant approved for SIP will be retired by LACERS? Farrelyn?
Hopefully we're shooting for November.
Okay, November. So we got a shout out for doing this presentation that we all did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you,
Stuart. We appreciate that. Will there be a mechanism to prevent individuals from delaying their SIP retirement effective date, i.e. delay in submitting required docs? Farrelyn?
No, again, I want to emphasize that delaying providing the appropriate documents we need to put you on payroll, you're only hurting yourself because you will be retired. Once your retirement effective date hits, whether if you haven't complied with everything, you're still going to be retired. Your department will be notified that you are officially retired. They are going to issue your final paycheck and your sick and vacation if you have any. And by not giving lacers the information that they need to put you on payroll, then you're delaying the time that you'll be put on lacers payroll.
Okay, just a couple of more questions. Do I get 50% of my sick time and 100% of my vacation when I retire?
You need to talk to that is in the purview of the employing department, not lacers.
So talk to your HR reps. For non-CSIP employees, what if there is a family need to take care of an elderly sick parent and I need to retire? Could that be an exception to the non-acceptance of application months of November through January and get processed during those months?
The ordinance is clear. The only exception is a disability retirement.
What Social Security forms do we need?
Well, in order to enroll in one of LACER's health plans and you're 65 and over, you'll need to enroll in Medicare. You need to contact us directly and we can find out your exact situation and we can counsel you on that. Just send us an email directly to LACER's Health Division at lacers.health, H-E-A-L-T-H, @lacers.org, and we'll answer your question.
Okay. What about for spouse? I'm not sure exactly what that was in regards to. What about for spouse, if they want to quickly put that in? Oh, about the medical.
I'm guessing it has to do with eligibility for medical or dental enrollment. Spouses are eligible to be enrolled along with the retiree in the medical dental plan. Again, you must proactively enroll them, however, it does not automatically happen.
Wait, we got through all of them. Thanks for the shout out from Andrew and Sheila. They said this very useful information. Thanks to all. We would just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your evening and joining us here on this. This is one of our first Q&A type sessions for information. We just want to make sure that all of our members have the necessary information that they need to make decisions. So thanks to everyone. We're always available at Lacers. You can always contact our main line, but please do take a look at our website. It has a wealth of information, a wealth of videos, and it'll provide you another avenue to inform yourself. So thanks everyone for participating. Thanks for Farrellyn and Bruce and Nathan for helping us out today. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can email us at lacers.services@lacers.org, or you can call our main line and you can get all that information on our website. So thanks everyone and have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us and stay safe.